I was not open to exploring chanting a Sanskrit mantra. It made no sense. It wasn't part of my world. It wasn't part of my spiritual practice. But when I was introduced to her work and I listened at a deeper level of what this practice could do, I thought, let's give it a shot. And I have found perceptual shifts in my own life, looking at things slightly differently, experiencing things slightly differently as a result of doing this practice. And so, part of what we're here on Vivatude to do is expose you to different ideas, different ways that we can shift our energy, because ultimately, what we bring to the table, our energetic presence, is what ripples out in the world around us and what we attract back to us. And so having these tools is super powerful.
What if the best chapter of your life hasn't even begun yet? What lies within you is the power to live brighter, bolder, and truer than ever before. So welcome to Vivatude, where caregiving, connections, and career come into balance, and where your vitality, vision, and voice shines through. Because the revolution isn't out there, it's already within you. Welcome to Vivatude.
And we're back with my guest, Rebecca Prien, and we are talking about not just Sanskrit mantra and what it does, but let's really dive into why we want to do something like this in the first place, and what you identified, Rebecca, with your clients, with yourself. And I have found it to be such a refreshing perspective in how to make shifts in my own life and my own patterns. And that's this notion of a karmic knot. So what do you mean by that?
Karma is bandied around a bit without a lot of understanding. Um, so let's back up
Okay.
and talk about a little bit about what karma is. And then I'll talk about what a karmic knot is. And we'll talk about a little bit about why mantra untangles it so effectively. I am speaking from the perspective of my adopted spiritual tradition, Shaiva Tantra, which, as we've talked about, is a source tradition of yoga underneath or within the Hindu pantheon. And from that perspective, karma is an energetic memory of a pattern of past action. And that action can be thought, energy, or actual action in the world.
Okay.
And so, what happens from a karmic perspective is that you've experienced your karma, which is the set of patterns of behavior. So that thing that you keep coming up against again and again, where you go, why am I here? Like, why is this happening? Um, if we understand that as a karmic knot, you're experiencing it in your physical body, in your physical environment, right? In your relationships, you're experiencing it in your mind, which I'm going to include both your thoughts and your feelings in your mind, um,
Okay.
and in your energy body, right? Which is the part of your being between your body and your mind that regulates or is a messenger between the two. So, any of you who have done any kind of energy modality of healing have likely intercepted and worked with the energy body. I mean, if you've had acupuncture, they work with the energy body. And what happens with karma is while you were experiencing that pattern in your life as you're going about living on those three dimensions, what happens from a tantric perspective is that the energy body, the energetic pattern is the one that's the stickiest, meaning it's the one that sticks around the most. So
Hmm.
far in, again, from a tantric perspective, when you die, your body dissolves and your mind dissolves, but the pattern, the energetic pattern, keeps its form. And the energy body pattern merges with the causal body, and then it finds another expression. But the pattern of energy is the same. So this is one reason why you can experience things and go, but I've done this work. Like, I know the source of it. I've been to therapy. I've done all this work. You know, I thought this was healed. I can't seem to get at it in the ways that I've been getting at it. And I would propose in those moments with those things that you came in with it and that you recognize the pattern in the life around you, right? We like to talk about, and it's not wrong, um, how this showed up in our families and how our relationships with our families and our life experiences have created and solidified these patterns of thought, feeling, and action within us. And that is true. And in these moments where we can't quite get a foothold on change, I propose that there's the possibility that you came in knowing this pattern. You recognized it in your parents. You recognized it in growing up, and you were like, oh, I know how to behave because it
Hmm.
was already familiar to you. So
Mhm.
so karma is the energetic memory within you of a particular pattern of action. And that could be thought, energy, or actual action. And to untangle a karmic knot of that pattern that's coming around and around and around that you can't seem to get at because it's elusive
Mhm.
and your regular practices aren't getting at it, need a practice to get at that needs certain things, right? So karma only operates within time. So you want your practice to get you to a point where you're have a pause or you can step out of time, of your experience of time. You want to be in the moment, which is why, again, the being present and actually doing the practice allows you to take action and be present in the moment with the pattern and the practice in a way that receiving healing modalities often don't, because we're likely to go into a relaxation or zone out mode.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
so Sanskrit mantra was actually designed for this purpose of breaking these patterns, not just in the physical plane, not just in the mental plane, but in the energetic body as well.
Mhm. Yeah, you can't easily fall asleep when you're busy chanting a mantra. You're
No, you can't. And the funny thing about that, though, is that a lot of people will tell me that they're like, I feel like I'm going to fall asleep. There is kind of this element of what I was taught in my lineage, we used to call nodding, where do you feel
Mm.
like you want to like nod
Mhm.
off in
Mhm.
meditation or
It's like
um,
dropping into
your
delta,
mantra
right?
practice, right? And
Yeah.
because you are dropping into delta. I've also been asked the question, or people have noted, like, wait, delta sleep is what but delta wave is what your brain is when you're in a coma or deep sleep. How can you possibly be awake when you're
Yeah.
chanting mantra? Well,
Yeah.
part of the answer to that, and I won't pretend I have the entire answer, but part of the answer to that is it's only one part of your brain,
Right.
at least from the research that we have right now, that is going into that delta wave state. And the rest of your brain may be calming down, but it's not moving into delta wave state. And it's
Mhm.
actually the difference, right? The asyncopation, the, I don't know what other word to use, desynchronization. That's the word I'm
Mhm.
looking for, of the parts of your brain that are allowing that change in pattern. There's an actual physical break in the thing that spiritually we call the gap, right? The pause.
Yes.
I find it fascinating that there's like a physiological, neurological analogy to this or reality to it. Again, I can't point like what because the studies are so primary, but I find it incredibly fascinating of the possibility of us being able to see that experiential phenomenon in our brain.
Mhm. Yeah, no, totally. I know, one of my teachers is, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he's at least one of the few that are bringing in private funds to do all kinds of physiological research and documenting what happens, not specifically with mantra meditation, but with certain meditation practices where we see the physiological changes in the body. We see the changes in the immune system, changes in brain
Hmm.
waves, changes in heart-brain coherence, all of that. But again, what I was really struck by with your book is, it's a way to step beyond the intellect, a way to step beyond the brain, to maintain a sense of initiative in choosing deliberately to say, I'm going to focus on shifting this pattern and using these tools, and then stepping into a specific vibration through the
Hmm.
mantra, which attunes the mind and body to a particular state. And we know in physics, right, that entrainment is a real thing. So it's clean, it's elegant, it's a way that I hadn't heard before, and I so appreciate what you're bringing to the table here. Now, I know that you work with really high level business people, entrepreneurs, creatives, people working on some profound, life changing uh, endeavors, shall we say. And I don't know if you can share with us a little bit of some applications. How have you seen people who have been stuck getting in their own way, who have some really, profound, important work to do, who've used this practice and broken through? Like, what does that look like on the other side?
Sure. So my clients and my experience of patterns looks like probably yours and most of your most of your listeners, right? We're all humans. So I'll start with me. I will say things that I thought I would experience for my entire life that I do not experience anymore. Depression, anxiety, those are the two big ones. Um, as far as clients go, I would say, that pattern of getting out ahead of it so that they make sure that their environment's controlled, that they're not hurt, that they don't have to be vulnerable, that there isn't a disaster. It's usually related to a disaster. Like everything's going to fall apart. It's going to be my fault. And I'm going to have to put it back together again.
Mm,
They've shifted that. How has that shown up practically? The client I'm thinking of, her, aging father was going to move halfway across the country into an assisted living home 5 minutes from her house. Was she asked about this? No. And so, but she didn't get ahead of it. She just decided what she was going to do, what she was willing to do, what she wasn't. She got some key information for him, and the situation resolved itself.
mm,
Right? Same kind of thing. She wanted to get out ahead of it by deciding what she needed to do next with her business because she had anxiety about uncertainty with her husband's job.
mm,
Right? But she stopped getting out ahead of that as well. And what ended up happening is she got really clear about what she really wanted to do with her work next, how all the pieces that had felt disparate over the last few years really had a coherence. She committed to that. And she had been asking and curious about a particular type of opportunity that previously she had kind of had that had been fruitful for her work within a larger organization, and nothing had really worked out, and it just kind of came into her path. She didn't like go and say, oh, I'm anxious about what's happening with my husband's job, I need to fix my business, or I need to find a job, which sometimes can be the swing that entrepreneurs, even mature entrepreneurs, can go through when there's a major change. And
mhm,
that opportunity came into her across her path within what she was just doing normally anyway. And she could decide whether she wanted to take it or not. So that's one example of one pattern.
mhm.
Another pattern that's really common with my clients is a pattern of jumping in to do what others cannot or will not do for themselves.
Oh, I know that one.
So this is, I think, particularly true of those folks who would be labeled as high achievers, right? Very capable, very action oriented, have a lot of agency, a lot of capacity, and are used to stepping in to fill the void. And this pattern starts very young. And so I've had some clients who that was the case with, primary family members, birth family members, and they've had to shift that pattern. And they have. And it's interesting. One of them said to me, I didn't know this was possible. I said, what was possible? I didn't know the other person would change, Rebecca. I was like,
Interesting.
really? She changed? She's like, yeah, my mom has changed. I can see a difference in her. She has more agency, right?
Yep.
Um, and she said, I didn't ask her to, and we didn't do it. I mean, there was none of the work we do has anything to do with asking other family members or team members or people in your life. It's really about what's the truth of the pattern for you and
Hmm.
getting rooting into what you will do, what you won't do.
Hmm.
Um, so she shifted that. Another client had the same pattern. Again, family of origin. Um, and she did that. She didn't come saying that her family members had changed, but what she did say was that the pattern had changed and that she showed up totally differently. And that she was like, it's like not sticky anymore. She's like, I'm totally fine. And I'm looking around going, why am I totally fine? Why is this okay? Why am I not getting like, caught up in their drama? Why don't I feel like I have to solve things? Um, and again, just like the first client with the solution kind of presenting itself, solutions have presented themselves to my client around ways that she has previously jumped in and helped um, her family member solve problems.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about that client is we did not work directly on her business, this last client that I'm talking about. All we focused on was this one pattern that was showing up both in her relationship with her family of origin and in her partnership relationship. And she had the best year that she had ever had financially in her business
That's
when she unwound that pattern, and she still worked the same amount of time. I mean, and she didn't do anything consciously differently, which is really interesting. I'm finding that there's always a surprise like that.
yeah.
um
Would you say it's true then that it's really not that important what the pattern is? That it is more on an energetic or on a soul level. You mentioned, the karmic knot, so that's in the, what did you name the field?
mhm.
The
It's your
you said
energy body.
it's the energy body, right? Okay, I know there's a lot of
Mhm.
different language patterns for that, but it is, it's in that vibrational field that's around us. It's beyond the intellect, it's beyond the physical body, it's beyond even the emotions and beliefs, but it's embedded in all of it. And by definition, we're not aware of it. And so by doing this practice, we influence that. We come back to a state of being more grounded, more connected with the sacred. We attune ourselves to a particular pattern, and then that naturally shifts. Is that your understanding what happens? It naturally shifts, and then the ripple effect from that affects everything else in our lives.
That is experientially what happens.
Okay.
Now, what is happening in the energy body, this is not, the practice of mantra is actually quite precise. Um, Within its own paradigm. So, as I said, each of the letters is a vibration of a particular element or force. It also, however, resonates at the same energy as part of your energy body. So, you and probably many of your listeners are probably familiar with the chakra system on some level,
Mhm.
right? Which is the energy body system in the systems of yoga. And it is prana, life force, that runs through that energy body. What happens when you have a karmic knot is the karmic knot is an interference in how the life force runs through your energy body. So it's like my guru used to call it like sticking a, a stick in a bicycle wheel. All right, and you
Mhm.
end up like flapping around instead of there being a smooth flow of your life force and presence. Each one of those chakras has a vibrational frequency, or it's actually a set of frequencies, one at the center and then around the outside, multiple around the outside. And the Sanskrit letters are the same frequencies as the chakras. And so when you chant, you are actually pinging, right? You're activating the vibration of very specific parts of your energy body that are where your karma is causing the interference.
Okay.
So you actually
Very specific.
change the pattern energetically in your energy body. And then, right, you start to experience that difference. And from
Aha.
experiencing that difference, and you again, you have the neurological support of breaking a pattern, you begin to witness the pattern, create a gap, and then be able to make a different choice.
That makes sense. All right. Well, when we come back, I want you to tell people how they can find you, what free tools you have, how they can find your book, and then you also work with people individually, one-on-one, if they want to work with
Mhm.
you, and you can help them identify a specific mantra for them. Is that right?
Correct, I do. Yes.
Wonderful. All right. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back with Rebecca Rama Devi Prien, and we are talking about the untangling the root of what distracts and derails you. So, Rebecca, please share with our listeners where they can find you, how they can work with you, and how they can learn more.
You can find my book, this again, Untangle the Root of What Distracts and Derails You. It's available in paperback, ebook, or audiobook. Best places to find that are either Amazon or Apple Books. Second of all, you can find me on my podcast, Sacred and Strategic, where I dig into a lot of these things and specifically their application. And then, as Lauren mentioned, I also listen for personal mantras for people because the mantra that's most effective for you is likely not most effective for somebody else. And I can listen for what will be most supportive. And you can find me for that at my website, ompreneur.com. That's OMPRENEUR.com.
Wonderful. And all of that information is in the show notes. So please feel free to follow up with Rebecca. I highly recommend her book. So thank you so much for all the amazing work that you do and for the gift that you're giving in the world.
Oh.
And there is a free practice, right, on your
Oh,
on
that's
your
right. I should mention that. Like, if you want to try a mantra practice, because we didn't try that here, you can try a mantra practice. I have a 5-day free practice. It's one syllable. It explains exactly what it is and what you're doing and what it means. And that's on my website under Start Here Free. We can probably put the direct link also in the show notes. And the
Thank
other
you.
thing that I do is that I help you identify vibrationally what that one thing is, and therefore what the best practice would be for you. And so I have a one thing workshop, and you can find that at ompreneur.com/workshops. But we'll put all of this in the show notes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today,
Thank you,
Rebecca.
Lauren.
And yeah, thanks listeners for joining us. We'll be right back.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you again for joining me for this amazing interview with Rebecca Rama Devi Prien. I know for myself, I was not open to exploring chanting a Sanskrit mantra. It made no sense. It wasn't part of my world. It wasn't part of my spiritual practice. But when I was introduced to her work and I listened at a deeper level of what this practice could do, I thought, let's give it a shot. And so I took advantage of Rebecca's free, it's a 5-day practice. And I've done it more than the 5 days, and I find it really soothing. It's about 12 minutes. She guides you into a little centering, and then she guides you right through the 108 repetitions of what's called a seed mantra. And I have found perceptual shifts in my own life, looking at things slightly differently, experiencing things slightly differently as a result of doing this practice. And so, part of what we're here on Vivatude to do is expose you to different ideas, different ways that we can shift our energy, because ultimately, what we bring to the table, our energetic presence, is what ripples out in the world around us and what we attract back to us. And so having these tools is super powerful, and it's some of it's going to resonate and some of it's not. And so just I would say take what works for you and leave the rest. But if any of this resonated with you, please go ahead and leave a comment. Like, subscribe, share this video. We love having a vast community of people, especially women. We want to support each other in a spirit of sisterhood and camaraderie to elevate our energy, lift each other up, and make this world a better place. So thanks again for joining us on Vivatude. I'm Lauren Archer, and I'll see you next time.
And thanks for listening to Vivatude. 4 hosts, 1 each week. We help you revivitude your next chapter, because purpose, passion, and prosperity isn't out there. They're already within you. Brighter, bolder, truer. Vivatude.